Well, how would you like to travel in a plane with just one pilot? That's not me. Well, that's a proposal, though, currently being pushed on to the International Civil Aviation Organisation by nearly 40 countries, including Britain, France and Germany, to make single pilot operations your new reality. So, don't get me started. Plenty of technology, sure, on planes, and 99% of the time, possibly no problems. But for that 1% of times, I'd like to know there's a lot more up there than just one person and a bit of a computer. Just ask Richard De Crespigny. In 2010, he was the captain of an Airbus A380, which suffered a catastrophic engine explosion while in the air above Singapore. Against the odds, he managed to land the plane safely due in part to help from one of his 4 co-pilots. Richard De Crespigny joins me now. Thank you for your time, Richard. We all get on planes and we sit down, we put our belt on and we think that, and largely we're right to think it's all safe and all the rules are there to protect us. This rule change, though, is it about cost cutting? What's driving it? Help us understand why a 2-pilot minimum you say is essential.
Hi, Peter. I was speaking to my friend Sally Sullenberger today, and we are both really surprised that this discussion is taking place at all, because it makes no sense. The pilots don't want this concept, the passengers don't want it, and I believe the aircraft manufacturers don't want it. It flies in the face of risk and safety that we've developed over 119 years, where aviation was one of the most dangerous forms of travel. Now it's the safest. So we don't take it for granted. We understand why you are safe travelling on aircraft, and pilots are responsible, and so we don't want those safety conventions we've built up, written in blood over the last 119 years, destroyed.
So what's driving it?
Well, I think it's driven by the airlines that want to cut costs. There's a bit of shareholder capitalism where you want to increase the share price, give bonuses to people, cut all costs. I think they don't understand what pilots do in the cockpit. Very few people do understand what pilots do in identifying, rating, managing, and living with risk and handling the uncertain times. And I think they just want to cut the costs, and they will do it however they can. And they don't realise, we've gone so far that the aviation industry has gone well beyond just recognising that safety is measured by accidents. It's much more beyond that. We have to identify what we do well, what we excel at, identify those pearls of wisdom, and then we have to keep them and maintain them. The aircraft you fly will have resilient systems, 6 flight control computers on the A380. Everything is duplicated, triplicated, up 6 times easily. And the number of crew in airlines have decreased as we don't need navigators or even the engineers on board anymore. But the pilot is, again, ultimately responsible. And if we understand human factors and the human condition that we make mistakes, everyone does. You know, if you ever pick up the toothbrush instead of the comb, you realise you're making a habitual mistake. Pilots can't do that. So we must protect the concept, which is fundamental in aviation, that we must have 2 competent licensed pilots in the aircraft at all times. That's why you are safe.
Richard, just help us understand, go back to that day back in 2010 when you saved the lives of probably, 400 people on that aircraft. What would have happened if it was just you in the cockpit, do you think?
Oh, Peter, it'd be very simple. At one stage, I did become overloaded and I had 4 other pilots helping me. So in these modern aircraft, yes, sure, they get more automated and do more things. But when that automation fails, and it does, then these pilots are left with a very complex system. They can't stop, they can't call for help, they have to fix it. They have to make complex decisions, they have to understand the systems, use all their experience to make novel decisions that aren't written in any procedures or aren't written in checklists, because these are novel events, and they have to recover the aircraft, whether it's stalled, inverted, spinning or on fire. So this is their responsibility, and this is what we do, and this is what we must protect for the passenger, because the passengers deserve nothing less.
We will follow this up with the federal government and see where it's up to from Australia's end. But Richard De Crespigny, thank you. Thank you very much for talking about this issue. I have no doubt my viewers at home, you're watching that, aren't you, like I am, saying, I please hope Canberra is looking at former pilot there, Richard De Crespigny, and listening to him.